Welcome back to the Beyond the Summit Studios coverage of the Kiev major qualifiers. We are into the playoffs in the SEA region, and Mineski is moving on in a little bit of a mini upset over Clutch Gaming. We have Faceless against TNC Pro Team on tap for you starting in a few minutes, but oh, how the mighty have fallen. Eason, you came into tonight 13-0 for your predictions on the panel, but after 2 straight misses, I'm afraid we're going to have some consequences here, my friend.
All right, let's get it over with.
So why don't you spin the wheel of punishment? What are we calling this? The loser's lotto, right?
There you go.
Yeah, that's what they told me. Now, there are a couple of these outcomes that are I'm told, that are positive.
Oh, yeah? Well, you don't know what they mean, though.
Well, just reach it and pick one.
Look, just grab one.
Just grab one. Just grab one. It's fine. It's fine.
Re-rolling? Okay.
Oh, my.
Jeez.
Okay, come on.
The RNG Lord right here. What's that?
I don't think that's one of the good ones.
Probably not. Most of them are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Mystery food.
Yeah. Put the headset on.
Mystery food?
Wait. Why? No. I got mystery food. Okay. All right. You're right. Why is this happening?
So
Wait.
mystery drink. Okay.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm so glad that this is not me. All right. I have to drink something handed to me by Ken Chen without knowing what it is.
Yeah, I don't like
All right,
this.
so he
One
doesn't
shot.
know what this is, and you have to.
I have to drink all of it.
Are we sponsored by FYM Hot Sauce?
What does Ken Chen have in store for you?
It's not terrible, but where's my mic? It is not terrible, but it is questionable.
What?
For starters.
Are we gonna?
It's kind of fruity. Doesn't taste very good.
What is this? A wine tasting?
Fruit juice.
Fruit juice. Diet Coke, water, and milk.
Okay, that's
Fruit juice, Diet Coke, water, and milk. Okay. I'm
something.
really let down here.
All right. That's
well, it wasn't good.
It's a little tape to start things off.
It
but
wasn't
keep
good.
getting
Okay?
interesting.
But to give you an idea, guys, those of you at home, like this is Ken Chen by far the nicest I've ever seen.
I agree.
There is actually a bottle in the kitchen over there of the I believe it's the FYM hot sauce that's like so hot it's not even
The California Reaper.
Yeah, they're not even marketing it yet. Like, so yeah, you just dodged a bullet there, buddy.
I mean, let's be real. That kind of tasted like cough medicine, so it wasn't pleasant either.
You are looking a little bit green. All right. But we're gonna trust you to make it through the panel. So let's recap a little bit. We didn't have a chance before the first series. We had to go right in to sort of set the table for the broader matchups. Let's recap that first series though a little bit because our draft is already underway in the second game. That's a pretty convincing showing there by Mineski. I did not expect that they were going to take apart a team in Clutch Gaming that had looked really good in the group stages.
And not only that, it was, like you said, it was beyond convincing. That was a stomp. I mean, there were some hiccups here and there, but I mean, overall, that was a stomp.
Yeah, I mean, once you're in such a confident position, it doesn't really matter what you do. So they realized that, and they just were able to turn up the aggression to an amazing level in that second game. Obviously, the first game was less convincing. That one went an extended period of time where mistakes were the biggest factor in its entirety, and it just kind of brings back the question of what the difference is in this stage compared to what Clutch brought to the group. Is it just because nobody bothered to significantly research Clutch's drafting going into this because they do have 9 opponents and Clutch is only one of them? Is it the best of 1 factor versus best of 3? Like, there are so many questions that this raises as far as the overall value of that team right now.
Yeah, and I do have to give a credit to a couple of my panels for the last season as well. I got to give credit to you, Blaze, for saying 28 minutes because the games in this region have been on the long side, especially compared to the others, and we doubted you. You though, you're pretty much right. I mean, this game could easily have been over by the 20.
It could have been faster.
Exactly.
They had taken at least 2 lanes of racks by that point, so they were very clearly like in that position. But yeah, it's just it does remind me of that Team Liquid lineup that we got to see so much of with the Ursa, the Omni Knight, and just momentum. And a Shadow Fiend is actually a great driver for that too. So I actually thought that that was a pretty inspired draft, and I can't wait to see what else Mineski brings to the latter stages.
And I also have to give a little bit of love to Lumi, who said to me as we were walking back immediately after that panel segment, he said, you know what, I went for Mineski just solely based on Jay at Raging Potatoes Shadow Fiend, because he feels that Raging Potato Shadow Fiend is just that far beyond anything that we've seen from another player in the region, and he was right. I mean, that was, I believe it was 32.8k hero damage. About half of his team's total damage output in that game came out of the Shadow Fiend.
I mean, to be fair, you know, as strong as this SF was, I feel like a lot of credit definitely went to his team, though. Okay. That early game was carried by that Ogre Magi.
Yeah.
He was always in the right place.
He won 2 lanes just straight up.
Yeah, he just annihilated the TA, and then TP's bottom assists his Omni Knight, gets the first blood, 2 lanes won. And with that first blood was huge because normally I would say Axe beats Omni Knight, but when an Omni Knight has the sustain to continuously purify, that is no longer a 1 lane.
Yeah.
Shadow Ogre Magi now over an 80% win rate in the SEA region in a little over 15 games, I believe. So that hero has been really dominant, and a lot of it is Jules on that hero. Just very, very consistent. We do have a draft, though, to show you. As you can see here behind me, we want to take you into this first draft. TNC Pro Team against Faceless. These are the 2 teams out of this region that were in the conversation, maybe the outside of the conversation, but still in it for direct invites going into Kiev. So a little bit surprising to see them meeting up here in the first series. TNC, if there's a team in this region that is going to go for the pocket strat, if they're going to draft something a little outside of the box, I think it is TNC. They're really one of the few SEA teams that runs Keeper, which has done very, very well in the other regions. But Faceless, they've drafted straight up for most of the event. Their 7-2 record coming out of the groups, a little bit deceiving because they were 7-0 and assured of a playoff spot at that point, and then dropped their last 2 games. And they're going to start off with a hero that has been absolutely a staple for them, the Nuts Warlock.
It is actually looking kind of scary for Faceless. Like, you can say, sure, they went 7-0, and then, you know, they lost their last 2 matches, but they were playing with their staple, you know, hero pool.
Yeah.
And they lost to TNC as well, but...
Yeah, I'm curious how much of a factor that is, the aspect where they just got beaten by them. How much were they really putting into it? Some teams are considered ones where once they're confident in their position moving onward, they don't really care about groups anymore. They sandbag their games a little bit. But Faceless seems like a team that really always wants to win. They always have this drive where they have dominated the SK scene. I think intimidation is a pretty big factor in these matchups, and I think that dropping those 2 games maybe gives, at the very least, TNC a lot more morale. I don't know how it affects Faceless, but TNC have got to feel like at least gods can bleed.
Yeah, still, though, we've seen time after time in so many drafts involving Faceless in this region that like 4 or even all 5 bans will be targeted at Ice Ice Ice. And now in a stark departure because of that dominating record for the Ogre that we mentioned at the top of the draft, you see Ice Ice Ice's Timbersaw getting through as a first phase pick. Is this something that you want to give Daryl? He's been so dominant on that hero.
Yeah, but the support pool from Faces is really strong too. XY and Nuts always bring a lot of tempo to the early game. They pick up very aggressive heroes. I remember last major qualifiers, it was the ban out of like the Undying and the Ogre every single time because there's just so much that is brought to the table. And yeah, you do let an offlaner slip through here. It could be like the Nyx or the Timbersaw, but you just kind of have to roll with the punches there. You don't want the Ogre to be in the hands of Faceless, and you just kind of have to make a decision there.
Yeah, and while they do give Ice 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 a Timbersaw, they do have a good core hero to start things off to deal with it. You know, OD is definitely one of the better heroes to penetrate that reactive armor. So there are answers for it.
All right, fair enough. And I imagine now that Ice Ice Ice's hero is on board, you see the Invoker coming out from TNC. Again, you know, Jabs, they branched out a little bit toward the end of the group stages, and they picked Alchemist a couple times. But for the most part, going through a lot of the games, it had been Invoker or Ember Spirit always in the mid lane for Faces. And I wonder if you're going to see TNC's next ban be the Ember. I mean,
I think
you're not exactly scared of an Ember versus OD matchup,
exactly.
though. Yeah.
So you might actually just ignore it. feel comfortable with that easy matchup, I'd say.
So, what about TNC? Is this looking like kind of a straight-up draft for them, or maybe still some pocket strat potential? We've seen this is the team that they didn't win with it, but they gave us the Keeper, Brewmaster, and Invoker strategy with that Earth Panda Alacrity hitting the barracks.
It's kind of hard to say. They actually had a lot of success with so many different heroes. I don't even know if I can call it pocket strats anymore.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I think TNC are pretty confident this is just a well-rounded set of options here. I mean, Rubik can have a variable amount of impact depending on the opposition, but just picking it up early is always a good versatile pick. And OD has been a dominant mid, but I think the next 2 picks are going to be much more indicative of where they are with the draft, where they want to be with the draft. If they go with maybe the Sand King for Reor again and try to go for some good magical initiation.
That is a really, really good pick. I was just about to say the Lone Druid still on the table for Raven. We know what he's capable of the hero, although, yes, and you were very complimentary of Abing's Lone Druid yesterday, but Faceless is going to take that away.
Black is also pretty well defined on the hero. It's obviously a hero that anybody can play to some extent, but Black has been able to really hit some great item timings with it.
I'm kind of surprised that after 9 games, this is actually the first time we see a Lone Druid from Faceless.
I'm actually also a little bit surprised by that Wisp pick.
I think they drafted it yesterday, right?
They did, and TNC is certainly a team that likes Wisp, but I'm not a huge fan of the Wisp against either the Timbersaw or the LD.
Yeah, especially the Timbersaw. I think it's going to be very limiting. It's very hard to keep your health pool active when you're losing strength or you're just getting nuked down by pure damage. You want to try to build up towards items like Mechanism, but realistically, for the first part of this game, he's just going to be sitting on Bottle and Urn of Shadows, and it's going to be easy for him to be focused on the backline.
And especially when you think about the newer LD builds, kind of the mini or even the big sniper, where LD has just all this attack range, and all of a sudden, he's always going to be able to right-click the Wisp, who has just ridiculously low base armor. He actually, I believe Wisp actually has a very, very small negative starting armor.
I think you're right.
Technically, yeah, but it's just that kind of point where I think the OD just has to be very aggressive. I think there are still a lot of benefits to the Wisp, even though he is very vulnerable. If you can keep the right distance away from the more damage-dealing opponents and just focus on getting a good overcharge and heal out on the OD, allow him to just frontline and just put out a lot of damage with his orb, I still think that there's a lot of good potential with it, but it came with a lot of risks, and we're seeing it even further exploited by this Disruptor, who can really pick apart the Wisp, either glimpsing him away to break tether, or to counteract relocate, or even just to counter gank when they see the relocate coming, dropping down his kinetic static combo.
So of the 3 big heroes that have been contested most so far in the qualifiers, Lone Druid, Centaur, and Slardar are the 3 that have been picked or banned in over 90% of matches. No other hero above 70. Lone Druid picked, of course. Slardar was banned first phase. Centaur's still on the table and would, in theory, fit pretty nicely to TNC's lineup here.
I think you're right, but I think they might be considering Omni Knight as well.
Really?
Ooh.
Because TNC actually was the team that beat Faceless yesterday, and it was off the back of Sam H's Omni Knight. I believe that is what happened.
I actually hope they do, because I kind of want to have the Omni Knight conversation with you guys. We were talking about that off camera during that last game, and that I feel Omni Knight. You were saying, Blaze, you felt that Omni Knight was underpicked.
Yeah.
And to me, Omni Knight is a hero where when you see an Omni Knight pick, the draft is never even. It's either to me, it either ends up being really, really good or really bad most of the time.
Because you were mentioning how OD needs to be aggressive here. And what better way to complement it than to give him an Omni Knight, right? If he has Repel, there's really no way you're going to stop him.
Yeah.
You can right-click him, but then what if you get a Guardian Angel?
I'm just kind of worried that the lack of control could be an issue here, and we're actually going to see Sam H go for a Tidehunter here. I feel like when you go for a hero with pretty much no disable, you can't really count Degen Aura in as anything really hard at controlling, you're just going to let the Lone Druid run away. As long as the Lone Druid can stay alive, then there's really nothing too much you could do. I mean, the OD can try to close distance and try to put some right clicks into him, but the Timbersaw is going to be there to try to deal with it as well. I just feel like when you have Wisp, Rubik, and Omni Knight all on the same team, control is going to be your #1 concern. So I feel like while it could work as a pocket strat, I think the Tidehunter is going to bring a lot more in terms of AoE team fight.
I just don't know. I'm not feeling the Tide pick here.
I'm not either. I
That's
feel
a
like it's
big cooldown to play around against a lineup in Timbersaw and Lone Druid and Disruptor that all have short cooldowns and just can keep coming at you.
I agree.
Yeah, I still like Faceless draft by far. I just don't know if TNC would have found an answer in the Omni Knight. Just it solves some issues, it creates some opportunities, but also leaves some gaping holes in their draft as well. But we're going to be going to the last pick here with Phantom Assassin and Ursa banned out. TNC down to the last seconds of reserve time here, so they have 20 seconds and they have to figure out what carry will suit their needs.
Interesting PA ban.
All right.
Okay. It's not unexpected. It fits. I just feel like Faceless, especially with the Timbersaw, can just get in the Drow's face and continually cause her problems.
Yeah, I feel like pre 7.0 this would have been a really strong lineup. Yes. You look at Wings, they would actually phase 1 Wisp Drow, and they would often have heroes like Rubik and OD in their lineups, and they would actually be able to snowball really well off of it. Problem is this isn't, 6 point whatever anymore. It is 7.0. Drow is considered one of the weaker options in the safe lane nowadays, and just as a point of comparison, they are going to be finding themselves really hard to kill off a target like Timbersaw, for example, who's just so susceptible to magical and pure damage, but you're not seeing that as much from heroes like Drow, Wisp, and Rubik.
So the question is, do we assume this is going to be a jabs hero here? They're not going to do anything funny like switch jabs onto the LD?
It's probably jabs LD at this point.
Okay, yeah, jabs LD. Oh, wow. That's a little bit unexpected. What is this a core Venge then?
This is going to be a core Venge.
Okay, okay.
I love the idea of being able to offensively swap one of the enemy carries when they're tethered and completely eliminate their Wisp's potential. He tethers, and then you swap it, and there's no overcharge, so there's no bonus healing. The Wisp actually becomes a non-hero. If you are tanky enough with like Dragonlance, Treads, and maybe towards the BKB, you can get very involved, and you can get very aggressive, and it could actually just completely negate some of the impact of your opponent. Also, Vengeance Aura makes Anchor Smash significantly less effective.
Yeah, I just am a little bit worried, right? Because Venge is she's a great tempo carry, right? But she is still relatively short range. She's not necessarily the ideal core to kind of get up in the face of the Drow. You have the Timbersaw to do that, but I would prefer to have a second core that really would want to go toe-to-toe with the Drow.
I think Venge can actually do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And if the Venge can't, the Lone Druid certainly can.
Yeah,
just the outrage factor.
That's true too.
Like the way most people have been building Venge anyways, it's like fairly tanky. You just let your Lone Druid do all the heavy lifting, and you're still going to do a ton of damage just because you're Venge. Like even with an item build like Dragonlance, Helm of the Dominator, Hurricane Pike, you're still going to hit for like 200 damage. So
that's part of why I actually really like Venge in this meta for that reason. She's just so effective with 2 or 3 small items. But all right, Iason, come on, man. I believe in you, okay?
Don't worry.
You
won't get this one wrong.
13-0. I think you can bring the streak back here. Who you got? And give me a time, too.
Give you a time.
Yeah.
I think that Faces are going to win this game. I'm definitely not feeling the TNC draft. I think it's a little too gimmicky, and it's going to like fall flat on its face against this Faceless lineup. I'm going to say that Faceless are going to win this in, let's say, 30.
All right, Blaze, quickly.
All right, I think it is going to be Faceless. Actually going to be first blood here, but yeah, I think something more like 35, 36. Something a little bit longer, but still very fast-paced.
Okay, Cuckoo is going to score the first blood on his Outward Devour. I am going to go with Faceless, and I'm going to go at right around that early 30s, say 32 minutes. We are clean sweep for the panel on Faceless, and let's get it out to our casters for Game 1 of this SEA Best of 3 series.
The battle begins.
I was meant to have this.
Off the back of the Drow Ranger draft.
All right, well, let's see if they're going to be able to make it work. Sam H did skill Gush first and has boots. So a little bit of a different look for it, and it's actually going to be, at least for now, Raven and Rior in the bottom lane with the Io. They're going aggro, and it's going to be... can they punish this Gush first for the Tidehunter?
They can. He took the Gush because they were going for the first blood.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is they never end up using the Gush. And now he doesn't have, well, now they definitely know he doesn't have the access into a Kraken Shell, so he's just ditching the lane, dude.
Yeah. I think that he's already halfway to level 2, so maybe it's not going to end up mattering as much as it might have otherwise, but could be a bit of a problem. Also, just a couple of ranged heroes up there in the top lane could pose a big problem for Sam H, particularly, you know, if there is any other movement off to that side. But mid lane, OD versus the Lone Druid. Do you have any real big thoughts on this matchup at all?
Yeah, a lot of OD strength cannot really be utilized as effectively. I mean, something you normally is able to do is like astral jabs and then go for denies, right? Of course, the barriers could still get the last hit. And you can see when it comes to harassing and trading, a lot of damage has already been applied onto the Spirit Barrier, but that also means it's damage not applied to jabs. And jabs gets to quickly resummon, and Cuckoo is out of regen essentially. Oh, he's got a south left, but...
I mean, it's still going to be very frustrating having to deal with all of the creeps pushing in towards him and dealing a good bit of damage as well. Cuckoo, really lucky miss uphill. He's brought down very low, and we'll have to use that salve now, I'd imagine. Bottom lane, also some interesting laning setups. You do have Nuts, who's going to be helping out Ice Ice Ice. So 2 Ice Ice Ices tagged up in that bottom lane down there. And we'll see if they're going to be able to make much happen. It's against a tri-lane, so could pose some issues there as well.
Unfortunately, this is not one of the best killing tri-lanes ever in the game. So Io and Rubik, I'm expecting them to roam a little bit more than usual, more than what these heroes would like. And once Timbersaw gets to level 3, once he has access into 2 points of reactive armor, I just don't think it's possible for them to kill him anymore. So this TNC tri-lane, its effectiveness, it's going to be quite low in my opinion.
And not really having access to that pole either, being blocked out now by the sentries after the first round of pulls came out. Be a little bit frustrating, as well as Cuckoo keeps on taking some harassment, although I kind of like that he's going for more in this Essence, or I wouldn't have minded seeing a couple in the Arcane Orbs to try and burn through the bear quickly, but this should allow him to continue to spam out stuff fairly consistently as well.
Yeah, this seems to be the build now. If you don't plan on maxing Astral Imprisonment for whatever reason, let's say you're up against the Ember and the Flame Guard blocks a lot of your magic damage, then instead of maxing the Astral, you max the Essence Aura so you can spam that orb. And he's using that orb to actually push back Jabs a little bit. Jabs, you can see, is out of regen apart from one Fairy Fire. But like you're mentioning as well, every time he wants to get close, he's just taking a lot of bear pot shots.
Yeah. So far, top lane, Vengeful Spirit having a great time, 19-3. Compared to the Tidehunter, who's 11-1. But we also spotted for at least a moment there, TNC taking a lot of harassment from the Fatal Bonds onto 3 heroes, with even just a couple of the right clicks. Like, Warlock hits fairly hard, and then you're sharing all that damage also. When the Timbersaw ends up getting some more levels up, and maybe even the level 6, Drow certainly is not going to be safe.
Yeah, it's nothing too scary that they have to worry about, because Tim's does have the bottle, so the regen is definitely here, and he has access into a couple of runes he could take up. The bigger concern to me, well, you know, Fatal Bond's actually doing a lot of work versus Tim's. The biggest concern to me is the fact that they're not getting anything done here. Yeah. Like, Ice 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 has the same amount of CS as the Drow Ranger, which is, that just shouldn't happen from an offensive tri-lane perspective. So I don't know what the plan B here is for TNC, but the plan A is not, you can't do this plan A for too long.
Yeah, I would imagine eventually moving into trying to take down towers, etc. You've got Io Drow, which is extremely mobile and capable of moving around the map and taking down those objectives. And you also still have levels moving up towards the Ravage eventually of Tidehunter. And Cuckoo still taking some damage here. We have a glimpse not available for Disruptor, only level 2.
Yep. And he was walking towards the shrine anyway, so he should be absolutely okay. I mean, you talked about, you know, transitioning the tower pushing phase of the game, but that comes with power treads on Raven, that comes with Dragonlance on Raven, right? Like, you're going to need some key items before you could actually go into that pushing stage of the game.
Yeah.
But where's your farm? Just look at the CS differentials. Your Black is almost doubled up on CS over the Drow Ranger.
Yeah, it's certainly not going great. I think that the goal there, it's not gone exactly according to plan, and maybe the play at this point is, I'm not even sure. You can't really go on the Timbersaw, and Warlock's positioning has been such that they haven't had an avenue to go on him either. So it feels like maybe the movement in towards Lone Druid is the way to go, or just farm up until the next item and take what you can get out of the laning stage.
Yep. The only saving grace they have going for them is Cuckoo is actually dominating the lane pretty easily. Okay, Ice 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 taking quite a bit of damage, but obviously he's got Pro-Man Shield, he's got, you know, 15 stacks of reactive armor. He's tanking 3 heroes and dishing out some damage on the return.
I mean, they do nothing. Tim's hitting him is actually probably helping more than hurting, just because of getting the reactive armor stacks. He's constantly at 15 here. Yep. Ice 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 is under no hurt at all.
Right, so as I was saying, I think the only thing that's going well for TNC right now is the fact that OD is kind of wrecking the lone druid mid. Much thanks to, I believe, the Drow Aura, and the fact that he's orbing in pretty hard.
Also need to be careful about any dives coming at any of these lanes with the Tidehunter capable of making any rotations. But you talk about this lead that Cuckoo's been able to build. What do you think that he needs to transition into from this? We've sometimes seen the Veil. More recently, it's just been straight into a Midas. Do you like that decision if you were to go for it in this game?
I don't think you want to go for Midas this game because you're looking to be aggressive, at least playing more of the tower pushing game because of your Drow Ranger lineup. So I like seeing a little bit more of the traditional OD build, which is the Dragonlance, the Force Staff, Hurricane Pike, that sort of thing. Whatever it is, you got to be kind of influencing the game sooner rather than later because of how poorly the other lanes have been going.
Okay. Well, Venge in the meantime, continuing to build up her farm, has the Blades of Attack on the Courier, so that's actually going to be the phase boots done for Jabs, and still feeling like right now Faceless more than happy just continuing to farm away. It's a net worth lead of a little bit in the favor of TNC, but experience slightly into the lead of Faceless, and this is the point where you do need to be a little bit careful in this game with Tim's, the Chakram there, and Ice could become just a menace.
Yep. And Black, of course, farming rather well on top lane as well. Normally when you look at carry Venge, levels is generally the most important thing because one of the benefits of getting a carry Venge is getting to quick access to a level 2 swap. And I think that's the reason why they picked the carry Venge, so that they could swap the Drow in when the push comes. Hold that thought that we're going to have XY getting somewhat exposed here in the jungle, but a good glimpse away is going to push Tidehunter away, and XY should be able to survive.
This is Drow Ranger Aura. He's got Fade Bolt as well. XY goes down, so a really nice pickup there, and well, one of the benefits of having Drow Ranger Aura, you get that extra little bit of damage.
There you go. I thought he was fine, but that Fade Bolt cooldown was much shorter than I anticipated.
Nice pickup there for them. A regen rune in the mid lane. 2-0 start for TNC, and they're holding on to Ravage. How we've seen kind of a fall off of Tidehunter nowadays. Do you still think the hero has value, or is it just too weird with a really long cooldown of Ravage?
I think this is going to sound weird, but the threat of the Ravage and the threat of him being able to stand in the front line and you can't initiate on him, that almost is stronger than the Ravage itself, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
But hold that thought, we're going to see a big fight.
He's TPing in as well. They're trying to go in on this. XY needs to be careful. Sam8's trying to walk forward, and Ice is kind of left completely alone. Going to throw out the Chakram, not burning through all of the trees as of yet. Can he get out? Ravage committed, and he is going to end up falling. Cannot get out of that one.
Yep. I mean, the reason that Tidehunter is going to be strong in this particular lineup is he's going to stand in front with Guardian Greaves and Ravage. You want to jump on him? You really can't because he's so damn tanky. But if you can't run past him either because of the threat of the Ravage. So if you kind of just look at him, his team is going to take your towers.
Oh, Raven. Very low as well. Black's on top of him. They find that kill. So a nice swap used, and Vengeful Spirit pulls the Drow out of position. Yep. Nice pickup.
Something that you don't see too often from Venge carries is the fact that this Venge is so farmed right now. Let's not forget, she's an agility hero that could pack a punch, especially when she's so level. She's going to be maxing her aura very soon. So sooner rather than later, we're going to see those agility items, Dragon Lances coming out, and Venge is not a hero you could ignore when she's this farm.
Yeah, and the other thing too, you mentioned the levels. Really good stacking on this hero. 3.3 agility per level, and then 2.6 strength gain. So all of that just comes to the tune of almost an extra item, whereas you look at some of the other heroes and it wouldn't necessarily be the case, and they take the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. Black almost at the helm of the Dominator, and this is all happening while the other lanes are being pushed in as well.
Yep. They're already hitting the tier 2. Now, as much as I'm focusing on the Venge, let's not forget that the defensive relocate is always a saving mechanism. So with that intact, Venge could just swap himself into harm's way. Ice taking a ton of damage, goes right onto Tim's here. Look at that damage output, Tim's.
Well, Cuckoo, meanwhile, in the mid lane, ends up finding a double kill. It's going to die to Disruptor. And it looks like Tim's is going to be able to get out of there. So they lose the Disruptor in the lone druid mid, while OD falls in turn.
Pretty good trade, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Still no level 6 up for Warlock. He is going to try and get this pull off. Does look to be able to complete it, although it's really not going to be for much, as the mid tower was dropped fairly low to tier 1. Ravage is going to be back up in a little bit as well. So we'll see if they can make anything happen with that, or if they just want to try and get into that, continued farm.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, earlier you were asking me what is OD going to buy and say not Midas because his friends need him. So he goes Midas and he's actually killing people with the Midas and only the Midas, so shows what I know about this hero. But it feels like he's very comfortable on the hero. He feels like he's got a strong lead, and this particular item purchase is going to propel him even further. We are going to see him to not go greedy anymore, I imagine. I think he's going to go like Treads, Dragon Lances, just the standard OD stuff from this point on.
Yeah, that could make sense. I think that it's, again, maybe just a game flow thing where he was winning so hard that he made the decision after the fact or whatever. But in the meantime, they're going to be trading off towers. It looks like as Black is going to move mid, try and take this one down. They do have a TP on the Tidehunter if they wanted to come and defend this, but it will be probably too quickly gone.
Right now, this Venge is making a better impression of a Drow than Drow herself is. Yeah. She's really just leading the team and pushing the tower, and look at that. They're going to just rotate out to the tier 2 up top.
I mean, they're not stopping for anything. What are you going to do against this Timbersaw? He's got 4 reactive armors up, and he's going to end up having Chakram, Whirling Death, 3 points in Timber Chain. They've got Helm of the Dominator.
They're going to TP the mid tower and smoke up. They're going to backstab this team. Let's see how quickly can the Radiant react. And the problem is I think the tier 2 might be dead before they even get there. They scan on top of the path that will be coming. Yeah, and TNC is not going to get the element of surprise here.
They also don't have Tidehunter mechanism yet. If they walk into a Ravage, it could definitely work, but they spot him out. Yeah, it's no
Rior
good.
is going to get glimpsed. Ty has to walk in there.
Okay, going in for it now. The OD as well. They drop the Ravage, connects kind of onto 2 XY though. The follow-up, it's so much damage with the Fatal Bonds. They're all going to die. Oh my god, there was a Radiant Dire team there a second ago, but no longer. And the swap back in, SamH gone. Faceless looking good.
Yeah, the problem is no blink on the Tide, no mech on the Tide, and as soon as Rior got caught out, you had to make a split-second decision. Do we let our Rubik just die for free, or do we actually take a fight with Ravage? TNC chose the latter, and I think they got surprised by the damage output. It looks like Rior is going to get picked up again on the mid lane here. Rotation is coming in from Jabs from the back line. Rior has to run south, and he does, but I don't think he's going to outrun Jabs. He's completely surrounded. Look at the damage output of Faceless, and that's going to be on a killing spree.
God, 462 movement speed, and he ran straight down from there and able to catch out the Rubik. So from bad to worse, and Faceless, I mean, if you're TNC, I don't know what exactly you do at this point. There's kind of like shut down all map control.
Yeah. I mean, normally you look at a team of the caliber like TNC, it's like, okay, you lose the laning stage, you're good enough to play through the rough next 10 minutes or so and then make a late game recovery. But this lineup, it's really designed to do well in the lanes, right? Because they don't really have a lot of catch-up mechanism apart from taking a bunch of towers. So you look at the tower count. Faceless has 5 outer towers. TNC has, what, 3?
Yeah.
2? This is just not the lopsided tower count that we're looking for. At least not in the direction that we were expecting just from the drafting phase.
Well, and you mentioned that like maybe the Midas could have been a not the greatest pickup in the world. I don't think it would have changed the complexion of that fight, but it does sort of speak to some of the issues that they're kind of gearing up for the late game. But with the Drow Ranger, is that really the best thing to be doing? I don't know. It's a tough call one way or the other.
I mean, if he had a Force Staff, maybe he wouldn't have died, right? Like, maybe he would have been able to Force Staff away.
Exactly.
But honestly, I don't think the outcome of the fight would have been changed. And, you know, moving forward, the Midas is definitely going to help in terms of getting his net worth to where it needs to be. But I'm looking at Cuckoo. He needs to finish the Hurricane Pike. He needs BKB and then plus one more item to dish the damage. And that's really, really far away.
And maybe it's just also the choice to go for that fight there, right? Like the Tidehunter was 500 gold for mechanism.
Right.
Like
they could have just let Rior die.
Yeah, or they could have let Rior die. They could have let the tower fall. Like they felt like they needed to get something done, certainly. But it's a tough call in either case. And Faceless end up being able to convert. Maybe also some good decision making from them. They obviously just recently got the coach as well. Winter's over there and the Southeast Asia helping them out through the drafts, and cool stuff all around as it looks like they are
Radiant's
moving
top
for the
tower
last
is under
tier
attack.
2 tower in the mid lane now.
Winter is there.
Winter's coaching.
That's why Faceless lost the last 2 game of the day.
Oh my god, the flames.
I mean, the last qualifier, Faceless was perfect. Just gonna point that out.
SCA got better, man.
All right.
Oh my goodness. Well, Rock is back up as well. Chaotic Offering, Fatal Bonds, all of that shenanigans. And now also, that last fight, Disruptor didn't have 6. So I'd be a little bit concerned now if you're TNC for even taking a fight with the mechanism on Tide.
Yeah, I don't think TNC is actually ready to defend this tower. I don't think Han to swap back in. He's going to force staff away, immediate self Astro, and Tim's looking for a defensive relocate, but he's already used it now. He's going to give a little bit of Tether movement speed. Tide Hunter's in there. He can't Ravage, but seems like so far so good. They're going to lose this tier 2, but they're not going to lose any heroes, and I think that's more important.
Yeah, it's not a hold, but it's also not a complete and total disaster
They're
like the
chasing
last
out.
fight was. All right, this one might be, though, if they end up going too far forward. Swap back in. There's the drop of the Rock. They're able to glimpse away the Tide Hunter, so he's not in position for the Ravage. Now the chase. Ah, they missed that chains, though. TNC, they get away with just the Rubik Death this time, and I think that they can count their lucky stars. It's not more.
Yeah, I just think that TNC feels a ton of pressure, and they're feeling very desperate in these plays. Like, for example, you lose that tier 2. Nobody dies. Okay. I mean, it's not great for you, but I think they feel like they're in a desperate situation where they need to force anything. And I just don't think they could be Faceless like this.
It's tough, because it's also like, well, what do you do later on down the lines with this lone druid
That's
already
true.
getting farm?
I mean, their lineup's not good for split pushing
Yeah.
either, so you can't just farm your way back.
It's tough. Game is hard. It's maybe what we need to be spamming in the chat wheel, but this might be the play now. Go in, try and find a quick pick, and if they could take down Jabs, well, it's like he's just going to TP out of there. All right. Maybe it's the Tide Hunter Blink Dagger. That could be another big item to change around their fortune in this game.
I mean, high ground for TNC is still quite strong. I mean, Tide Hunter on the high ground, you got a lot of long-range artillery to shoot people, but at the same time, if you're just saying, look, we're going to defend the high ground, you're conceding the rest of the map to Faceless. Faceless could just take an hour before they push the high ground. They could get Roche whenever they want. They could just farm up, you know, to 3-4 slots on their Venge, Lone Druid. So I think TNC is right in that they have to force something, but they got to just be super smart about it because they cannot make any more mistakes. They have their backs against the wall at the moment.
And you look at XY, for instance, he's gearing up a Midas as well.
Oh, he knows,
on the Disruptor. You've got Warlock sitting with almost over 1,000 gold in his bank as well, and could be eyeing a Midas himself. Like, they are in a great position, and I love the Vengeful Spirit going back for this Shadow Blade as well, because it gives you an opportunity to punish the split pushing that TNC are forced to go into now.
Yeah. And Black likes to do this on a lot of the cores he plays. Of course, the Slark being the one that he is most famous for, but the Faceless Void, he loves to get Shadow Blade here. We see the Venge Shadow Blade. Just think about the heroes that he normally plays. It's very punishing to split pushers. Clinks comes to mind, so
yeah,
it might be a different skin, but very much the same play style of farming, but also keeping pressure on the enemy core so they can't farm as efficiently.
Well, Tide Hunter continuing to get his gold up. The Blink Dagger. Does he go for Guardians here? I feel like Blink is so good to hold high ground with, but Guardians is also mega value.
You're talking about
for Tide Hunter?
Well, he's got the Guardians gold right now if he wants it, so it makes me think of the Blink. And I agree with the Blink as well. I mean, there's not really big anything that he could debuff himself, right? The Static Storm Silence he cannot get rid of, Guardian Greaves or not, so I think the Greaves upgrade is not that important in this game.
Okay. So Roshan on deck now for Faceless, and a DD Rune right outside as well. Jab's going to pick that up, finish this off slightly more quickly. You do have the Force Staff on OD, almost towards the BKB as well.
Yeah.
There's pieces
It's still not
here.
enough. It's still not enough. The problem is that there's so much DPS on the Druid as well as the Venge. Even if you BKB, you get swapped back in, you just get right click to death. So you need something else on top of this. Either Shivas for protection or Lincolns. Or maybe I'm just thinking this all together. I'm thinking of how he survives. Maybe Cuckoo is thinking how we could win.
Right.
Because surviving as OD and winning is two very different things.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I guess I would also say that you don't have that like next big tier of items on Faceless. So with the Blink Dagger now done on the Tidehunter, like a Shadow Blade, for instance, on Black, it's great for punishing split pushing, but if they try and go high ground, it doesn't necessarily provide the same level of value as something like, you know, a Manta or a BKB of her own would. So there's some potential to punish, and a smoke movement now, this could be the avenue.
Yeah. I mean, the one impressive thing is, like, look at the network graph. Like, the OD's keeping toe-to-toe despite the situation. So very impressive stuff here from Cuckoo, but will TNC actually get the jump here this time?
Yeah, they spotted out the Spirit Bear moving up, and they realized that the Lone Turret is in the area. Forward, they get the Ravage onto 2. XY already down. Black as well. They throw out the Chaos Offering. It's a little bit late, and they pop the BKB. Giz is going to be able to destroy Tim's. Takes down Ice as well. He got the deny, actually, and the buyback from the IO going after jabs. They want this kill desperately, and with the Spirits, they might just be able to find it. TP still in the backpack. He is not going to be able to get away from this one, I do not believe. Aegis down.
As well.
Huge play, and unfortunately, Venge not going to be able to get in a position to save him. Jabs goes down. A big play for TNC.
Yeah, I mean, you could just fault, let's say, the IOs for buying back, because he really didn't need it, but honestly, that was everything that TNC needed. That Blink Dagger pickup by SamH was so on point, and I think they just bought themselves at least 5 more minutes, and that was an Aegis push, or an Aegis engagement, right? And they just, like, took that through. What was it, 4 for 1? 5 for 1 if you count the Aegis?
Right.
And all of a sudden, this could be a brand new game.
Yeah, just a little bit too cavalier with their movement. They get punished heavily, and Faceless, you know, you've got these Midases, you've got the late game set up and ready for, but TNC they push quick.
I mean, do you think this is the right decision, though? The TNC doesn't have the Ravage. They might get the Tier 1, but they might also pay very dearly for it. BKB cooling down very soon. He won't have it right about now.
So back in, Static Storm, the swap as well. Cuckoo in trouble. Relocate is not going to be there. He's still trying to get the regen. Ends up being brought down before he can Astral himself. Ice all over Tim. SamH as well. They're slowed down, and it does look like they're going to get the Savage Roar as well to break the TP of that Tidehunter. Rior barely able to escape, but you were right. That was not the fight they needed.
I mean, that is some risky stuff. Again, TNC's treading a very fine line. They are very far behind. They know that. They won one fight. They just want to push for more. I get that, but they didn't have BKB on the OD. They didn't have Ravage. That's your 2 best teamfight capable spells, and that is a very risky mid push. And now all of a sudden it's a Lone Druid in front of your tier 3. You know, with heroes dead for 10 more seconds, this is not looking good for TNC.
Thankfully they have Glyph. There's a chance that they can hold on to these barracks as OD comes back up, but it looks like they're just going to try and pressure this one. Ravage is back off cooldown in 10 seconds, so
Rax is dead though.
Maybe they can punish on the way out. What? Oh, they end up going in. Iowa's gone.
Yeah, I mean, they relocated in. And then
oh, no. Oh, man. You can see the idea there, but execution a little bit wanting.
Top tower is under attack.
Well, whatever glimmer of hope that TNC fans had there is quickly dashed away, as they didn't even take the mid-tier 1, right? Yeah, mid-tier 1 still stands, and they've lost melee racks. Now, I don't think TNC is going to GG out here. I still think there is game left to be played, especially if Tidehunter could get the jump like they did last time. Last time, they were able to kill the Disruptor super fast. I think the ultimate target they could be going for is Warlock. If you could kill Warlock before the ult comes out, they probably win that fight even cleaner than they did.
Right.
So I don't want to count TNC out just yet, but I hope that they, I don't know. I'm always very risk averse, and I wish TNC could be a little bit more risk averse.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing for TNC is that it doesn't get easier at this point. So you kind of are forced into making something happen with this Ravage, pushing the tempo, and it is still an opportunity. Like, you've got the double Midases on these heroes, which means they don't have those utility items yet to keep their cores alive. They just need to find Faceless out of position, and maybe after that last fight, Faceless are going to be more careful about their positioning.
So TNC's just grouping up in front of the tier 2. They're almost playing as if Glimpse is not a thing, right? They're just not respecting it.
Yeah.
All right, they'll back out.
Can't get glimpsed if you don't have vision. So they will get out of there. And would have been a pretty close one. XY going to check where the IO just was. But it sort of shows that this lineup, you look at a Drow Ranger, a heck of a lot of agi, ability to push the towers quickly. If they can win a fight, they can sometimes convert it off of objectives, but it sort of harkens back to what we're talking about in the draft, that Tidehunter's Ravage, you're not going to be able to take objectives as easily after the fact. Particularly with like the minus respawn times that you've got on Lone Druid eventually. It doesn't get easier there either.
I think like just kind of roll back the game for 5 minutes where they won the big fight and then they decided to push mid. I think that would have worked if the game timer said 35 instead of 20. Yeah. Because of the respawn time was so low at that point. So I think TNC ultimately has the right idea. It's just that it was so unfortunate that everyone just came back so quickly. Cuckoo in a little bit of trouble up top here.
Yeah, he does have the Io nearby.
Yeah. Also, speaking of which, we haven't actually seen a successful defensive relocate play at all yet.
Right.
And I don't think this is actually Tim's making a mistake. Rather, the fact that Faceless' damage output is so high that Tim's has like maybe a half a second to make that play work. Glimpse is going to come through, and Tim's is dead. So this is just a very tough game to make that IO work and make it work very efficiently. So far, it hasn't really looked like that at all.
I do really like the OD pickup here of the Blink Dagger, and now has the Hurricane Pike as well completed, because it turns into a damage item in and of its own right, because you can go for the Hurricane Pike and then throw out a bunch of Arcane Orbs, right? Stack up the Int, Sanity's Eclipse. It's great. So that's something that does feel quite good. They just need to be careful about Warlock counter initiation as he goes in for that blink. And well, it looks like right now Faceless looking to see if they can punish any movement out of where they expect TNC to go next.
The Blink Dagger pickup on Cuckoo tells me that they are going all in on that Ravage initiation. It's basically a double blink in play, and they're looking to snipe 2 heroes instantly.
Right.
And they feel like if they get that initiation, they win. Because effectively, if you look at Blink as the item, it's 2350 for 0 stats, 0 HP.
Oh no.
Raven?
They're all over
him. He didn't get the BKB off the Magic Missile, so now he BKBs, but the right click's going to be enough, and that's a 10-second BKB down. He will not have buyback. And I don't think Tidehunter wants to Ravage without the Drow here. A lot of the team's damage is also now taken away.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk all you want about Sanity's Eclipse, but these heroes have decent hit as well. Ravage is there. They're on top of Black. Sanity's Eclipse does come down. They find that kill. BKB is there for Japs as well, though. So they take down the Venge at the very least. Can they have any follow-up, though? It's a little bit of a whiff there on the Chaotic Offering. The stolen Chaotic Offering turned back to get Faceless now. A lot of damage going in. Can they bring down any of these heroes, though? It's not quite going to happen. The Fatal Bonds was doing a decent chunk.
Range Rex.
All right, Rior saving the day.
I mean, you saw the synchronized double blink in play, right?
Yeah.
It looked like some underwater dancing that they were doing, and it looked absolutely beautiful as they were able to melt the Drow Ranger, or not Drow Ranger, excuse me, the Vengeful Spirit. Imagine if they had Drow in that fight.
Right.
They would have taken so much better. Now, granted, you cannot expect Rior to steal, the Inferno offering, sorry, Chaotic offering every single fight, but it was so necessary in that fight because it looked bad. They were able to kill Venge, but that's pretty much all they killed. And those BKB, the Ravages, were so important. But end of the day, they held. Drow Ranger didn't have buyback. It did not matter. That Range Rex is destined to fall, but hey, they hold it for a couple more minutes.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, too, you take a look at what's going on here, and Rior's been having himself a nice little game, been getting a good amount of ward vision out, got that first blood earlier.
Yep.
Also has, the Blink Dagger at this point. It's allowing him to become more involved in these fights, and we'll have to see if he can make that continue to happen. The nice part about this is that he's going to have Chaotic Offering the next time that Faceless do.
I mean, it doesn't last that long between the next cooldown.
Right.
Did Ice? Oh, he got ganked and denied himself.
Oh.
Yep. All right.
Sees.
Oh. I do want to point out that Rior is going for an Aether Lens, which is generally not an item you see too often on Rubik anymore, because most rich Rubik just opt for the Aghanims instead. But in this particular game, I think he understands that he doesn't have enough time to save for the Aghanim, and he wants an item that can help his spell steal now, which the Aether Lens is a very kind of relatively cheap item, considering that you don't have to bind that energy booster again. And it's so important to get that extra range to get off the steal against either Static Storm or a swap or another rock from Warlock. So he's got a lot of selection of ultimates that he can steal, which makes the Aether Lens purchase much more effective this game compared to the other Rubik games.
Yeah, and it's also this thing now, like we're looking at TNC and the ways that they have to win a fight are very limited. You have to hit a huge Ravage for Sam H. And for Faceless...
He's been hitting them, though.
That's the thing, is that he has been hitting them, but how much longer can that happen before...
Do you doubt Sam H?
I doubt anybody being able to get constant Ravages like that onto 4 or 5 men.
I do not doubt Sam H.
Okay.
He's going to hit it.
All right, we'll see.
But I agree with you. He needs to hit it, or else they just lose.
Or else they lose the game. That's the problem, is that it's quite hard.
But isn't that exciting to watch? Like, you know
totally.
how hard it is for TNC, but they're doing it every single time.
I mean, exciting doesn't always win you the game either, though.
I mean, it wins my heart.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's see if TNC could hold this Roche. This is going to be the next big objective. I mean, if they, like, look at how the last team fight progressed, right? They all jumped on the Venge. They killed Venge. Imagine if she had an Aegis. That gameplay, that plan is no longer an option. So it's so important for TNC to not to give this Roche away.
And, well, we talk about hitting big Ravages. Roche Pit certainly a way to make that happen. Is he going to jump in for this? He pops it right away, but they aren't quite there in time. The Inferno drop as well on top of him. Counter Inferno. The Chaotic Offering jabs almost goes down, but he's going to be able to live on nothing. Sam H in trouble now as well. Io and Warlock already dead, but can they find any more? OD in the midst of all of this has not really done a whole lot of anything. He might be able to bring down Ice here, but no. He's going to be held inside that Astral Imprisonment. There's just too much damage coming out, and he is going to fall. Now also in some more trouble is, well, Ice down, okay. Ryor is dead. They end up making it work.
Roche is alive. I think the Drow Ranger should be able to clean down, especially with Inferno taking down. It didn't look like the OD was doing a lot of work, but he was able to take down both Warlock and Disruptor in the Chaos. What happened there was he was unable to take down the Venge because Venge went away from sentry range. And because Io died, there was no detection. Io had a dust on him. He wasn't able to pop it before he got popped himself. Oh. Ooh, great pick by Black here. Oh,
looking for more.
Roche is dropping low here. Black, okay.
Trying to get it, Gust. Sam H needs to run away.
Yeah, Raven can't fight this. Look at the damage output here. They glimpse Raven back in. Raven.
Oh my God.
He's got BKB. He's got BKB. He needs to BKB TP, but he can't because there's a swap. How does Raven make it out of here?
He's gone. I'm pretty sure, unless he can find a kill. Swap inside the
silence. What? That's a long silence.
Oh, nicely done. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So I mean, Tim's. Ice is just in enemy territory as he always is. Yeah. Okay, so they lost the Aegis. It seems like that's pretty bad, but I think it's more important they denied it to Faceless.
Right.
The game is still long ways away from TNC winning, but a dream could live on here from after that team fight.
Well, what a combination. It ends up working out, and I think that, again, like, it's sort of playing on easy mode slightly for TNC at this point because they had Warlock ulti in that last fight to start it.
Yeah, they don't have it anymore. Right.
So, again, it looked quite good for TNC, relatively speaking. It still ended up pretty close to even though they won the engagement. I'm still wondering if Faceless are going to be able to turn that corner over the next couple minutes.
I think they already have. I mean, look at the item that XY just picked up. You talked about the Midas earlier on. It's Axe, 34 minutes in for a support Disruptor, who has, by the way, a gem as well.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these BKB has been extremely critical. Also, look at the way that these team fights have been happening, right? The Relocate brings the OD in. That Static Storm on top of the Relocate, the BKB has to be pre-casted before he even enters the fight. So I think, again, the room for error for TNC just got slightly smaller, as Drow Ranger and OD has to be super careful with the BKB usage. And because this BKB has been purchased pretty early into the game, if you use your BKB too early, it's going to end before the fight is over. If you use it too late, you can never cast it because of the storm. No. It is so tough for the two cores of TNC right now.
I mean, it's 6 seconds for Cuckoo. It's insane. And then also for the Drow Ranger down to 6 seconds as well. So quite a tough one, and there's probably going to be moments, depending upon how the game's going, where you're going to need to like BKB to get away from Glimpse too, and then that gives them an avenue to take a fight. Ravage is back up off cooldown now. They are going to be able to kill off the Spirit Bear and maybe take a little bit more. Do Faceless decide to go in? Ice always wants to go in. They won't end up doing it this time around. Still backing out. This to me feels like one of those death pushes though, and with the Warlock ulti off cooldown, they're in a good position to keep the pressure on if they want to.
I mean, if you look at the other side of the map, Faceless still has 4 outer towers, right? So Faceless have to fail like 3 death pushes.
Oh, they broke the smoke and then Ice blinks away. So Raven is invis here. They have that gem as you were
They see
talking
Ice, Ice,
about.
Ice? Can they kill him?
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
No, they have no vision of him.
Yeah, they don't. That's too bad. That was a smoke as well. Sam H is still over here in the trees, but it doesn't look like right now Faceless are looking to push. And just going to get the D ward across the map here. All of those outer towers down. Shrines taken as well. TNC held inside their own base, getting less gold. They're going to need to make a move at some point, most likely, or possibly even just have to wait it out until the next Roche fight.
I mean, waiting doesn't benefit you, right? You talked about you are getting less gold. There's double Midases running from the support of Faceless, and these are supports that could still scale amazingly. I mean, Warlock's not even close to getting his Aghanims yet. In fact, he's actually going for Blink, just to make sure that he is never going to be initiated upon.
Yeah.
He's going to stay like 2 screen away from his team and just blink into ult.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Disruptor go that after Ghost Scepter too. We might even get to that point depending upon how these next couple of fights go.
Oh yeah, if Faceless ever wins a fight, the game is over. So TNC has to be perfect for the rest of the game.
Aghanim Scepter is going to be the pick for Ice Ice Ice. He is stalking Cuckoo. Does he know that Sam H is in the area as well? He does not.
Black's coming in. I don't know whether they have vision on him. He's coming in. He gets lifted. Are they going to burst him down? Ravage is going to be spent. They drop the Storm on top. It's not going to be enough. They drop the Hammer as well. That's one quick pick. Ice 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 activates the BKB, but there's Root. There's a Root on the OD. He's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they jump back in now. Ice 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 trying to bring it out. Able to get the blink off. They drop the Chaotic Offering. Sam H very low, but they get the stun onto Jab. Stolen from the Rubik. Can they make any more of it, though?
Jabs already goes down here. Raven's in the middle of everything. Ice 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 back in. He doesn't have the BKB. He has to commit the Sudoku. XY gets off the glimpse here, looking to get the TP. The Astro finds him. It's going to be a team wipe for TNC. All they've lost is the Wisp. They have to be perfect. They are perfect.
Every time we end up saying that Faceless are going to be able to take these fights, but somehow, someway, and it's honestly off the back of Rior. He has been playing out of his mind this game.
Did he get any big steals that last fight?
Honestly, even just like the Magic Missile, the lift to start it onto Black, being able to steal Chakram after the fact.
This ward, by the way, this ward saw Black going invis. They had a sentry down, and they punished him super hard.
Yeah, it's the support play right now from TNC is immaculate.
I mean, everybody
is.
Yeah. You don't win a game like this, or you don't stay in a game like this without everyone doing well. I mean, Tim's is not at his usual top peak, but honestly, this is a tough IO game, man.
Yeah. No, it is. I think that, and he's doing enough by virtue of just like being there, and they focus him down. Granted, it doesn't take much, but that little bit of
hits,
right, exactly. That little bit of pressure is, you know, a couple of things that aren't moving towards Cuckoo or whatever.
Sure. One more thing. Apart from the tier 1 they got, the tier 2 they got from top, they also recover a gem or taken a gem away from Faceless. So all of these things are adding up very, very quickly here. If we look at the net worth graph, it used to be a 20K net worth lead from Faceless, and now down to 10K. It's still a big lead.
Yeah.
But
well,
TNC
experience
is,
too now.
Yeah.
It's down to almost even at this point. And you look at these items, Octarine Core for the OD.
Huh.
So he life steals off of the extra damage from Arcane Orb, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it's kind of a neat little way to keep him survivable, as we're going to miss a kill there onto Rior.
Did he get the gem back?
Yeah, they got the gem back. That hurts.
That does.
Caster's Curse. We're talking about how great he was playing, and well, Sam H is going to TP back home. So what do you get at this point? What's the other big things that they're going to need? You've got Mjolnir on the Raven for the Drow. I'm guessing he's going back for Aghanims next?
Sure. Just get that AoE going, get that damage. And in terms of Cuckoo, I'm expecting something like a Hex, although if you look at his inventory slot, he's done. So maybe just a Moon Shard.
It could be.
It's a very interesting choice as your last item for Octarine for OD. Let's not forget that his ultimate does have a long cooldown as well, so that brings it into a more reasonable number. It's not an item I personally see too much. I mean, normally OD Hex is often the last item you want to pick up, but we'll see how the Octarine plays out.
Yeah, and you've got more mobility here on the Rubik as well, picking up that Force Staff. They get the Ags onto Timbersaw, and it's worth noting that this is still, in a lot of ways, I think, Faceless looking good. It's certainly not to the level that it was before, but I think with the Rax advantage and everything else, they're still in the lead, but it's becoming more and more tenuous.
It is, and normally in this stage of the game, like compared to other C teams, Faceless is the more experienced late game lineup. That's generally how they win a lot of their late games. They might be down, 5,000-6,000 gold in the first 15 minutes, but then they just make better decisions. They outplay you in the late game, but it feels like they're getting their own medicine from TNC. TNC has been the one that's initiating the fights properly. They've been getting excellent items, and honestly, Faceless is somewhat getting outplayed, if I have to say.
And in spite of the gem, actually, right now, you look at Faceless, and the only vision they have is by virtue of this one ward that was just placed. And I guess they got another one down over to the side here. So a couple of them recently down there. TNC are now going to start to be hemmed in a little bit more. They got one D ward up on the high ground here by the Rubik, and now they've been able to place down one ward as well over on this side of the map. But vision, it's been paramount in this game, going to continue to be, and it's kind of meant that IO has not been able to get those relocate ganks that we might have wanted.
Yep. So we are hitting some level 25s. Let's check out the one from Timbersaw, plus 20 strength.
Huh.
Just to tank up. I mean, his goal is to survive as long as possible to output damage, which in between his BKB, Shivas, Aghanims, 20 extra strength. Sitting at casual 3,000 health. Probably like 40 armor once his reactive kicks in. So I would say he's a pretty tanky fellow.
Ooh, and Black, a really good pickup here as well. Butterfly. So there's no MKB on the OD yet. That might need to be his next item.
I don't think he wants to get an MKB.
Right.
And again, notice how all of these team fights begin. They begin by lifting up or ravaging him straight up and trying to burst the Venge down. I think maybe Raven, instead of going for the axe like he hoped to get, he might have to go for an MKB himself.
It might actually just be more worth it for OD to just keep on building into Int and use the Sanity's Eclipse to kill off
I think so. Well, the thing is, he needs to build in through his hits as well, right?
Right.
If he's missing hits, then his Zoe is also not going to hurt us much.
It's why the item is just so good against OD to begin with. Like, why the Butterfly is a great pick. We'll have to see what way he wants to go through it, but they've been able to burst through the Venge more often than not. Some with the OD hits as well, but they've got a decent chunk of magic damage, particularly if they can find him at the start with the Ravage again.
Right. The other big 25 is ODs. He's going to have his Arcane Orb Insteel lasting much longer, which in normal games, I think it's actually a very strong ability. In a game like this, I don't think it's nearly as impactful, for the reason being that generally you get one fight and then no fighting for the next like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that 25 talent might as well be an empty line of text for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. God, I gotta say again, just thinking about how well TNC have been able to play out these team fights, because that's basically what it's come down to. They've been able to out-team fight Faceless on the back of Sam H. Ravages. He's been getting, probably averaging like 3 per Ravage almost. Unless it's just like one to make sure that they get a kill. And they're going to need to do another big one. They scan out in the front.
This is not a good angle to take this fight.
Maybe off to the side here, though.
Okay.
XY right in front of them. They get the BKB off on jabs, turning to fight, and they drop the Golem as well. Gem already on the ground. Cuckoo is right there with Black. He finds out about that. Well, Butterfly, Sam H is gone. It might not end up being the great avenue at all into this fight. They drop the Static Storm onto Tim's as well. No relocate out from this one, but can they kill off Black? Maybe, possibly, just in time. Is it going to be enough? He's on nothing. They drop the hammer, and that is going to be enough to find the kill, but they lose the OD nonetheless. And Rior as well, soon to be cleaned up. Rough fight right there for TNC.
So what happened in the beginning of the fight, we saw the Ravage. Unfortunately, didn't see the Venge, right? Venge is not the initial target. They killed Disruptor instantly. OD says, okay, I don't know where the Venge is. I killed Disruptor. I moved to Warlock. The problem is Nuts has already dropped the rock thanks to the fact that he was able to stay very far away. And then he just got kited forever. It was Ghost Scepter, and then it was Glimmer Cape. And of course, they wanted to go for the defensive relocate. And I do believe there was a buyback from Disruptor, and was able to storm on top of that. So
that's the thing, is if you blow everything to kill off the Disruptor and he immediately is back into the fight, you're getting basically no value out of that Ravage.
So as much as Sam H has been hitting these important Ravages, that might be a high average of heroes that it hit in terms of the number of heroes, but it wasn't an important hero, which is the Venge. So you could even make that argument that was not even that good of a Ravage.
No, definitely. I don't think that it was. And now OD is, well, up front and center. Needs to be careful about this. They've already lost the tier 3 tower. Can they find any more? Well, A little bit unfortunate there. He only got the bear, but it is good. I mean, it's no bear, but who cares about the bear anymore?
Actually, nobody.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I mean, PETA cares, but apart from them.
No. Well, I think that we've all come back down to earth a little bit after the spectacular play of TNC throughout those first little bits, and Faceless showing why they still were the favorites in this one. One good fight, they take down a tier 3, and TNC are back up against the ropes again.
I mean, in terms of structural damage, losing a tier 3 at this stage of the game isn't really a big deal.
Right.
The biggest deal is the fact that Cuckoo had to spend his buyback for the defense. So within the next 7 minutes, right, if you get Cuckoo one more time, the game is effectively over. So TNC, again, no more room for, I keep saying they don't have a room for mistake, but
yeah,
they're hanging on. They're hanging on.
It's interesting, and I think that it's just been off the back of solid team fights, and we'll see if they can continue to replicate that success. I think that now they've also proven, like that last Ravage, because all they got off of it was the Disruptor kill, it meant that it was like a much worse fight for them. But I think that they don't even necessarily have to hit a perfect Ravage anymore. They can hit sort of a mediocre one and still win the fight off the back of it because they've been able to farm their way back into the game.
As long as they could blow up Warlock or Venge at the beginning
Right.
of the fight, I think they have a good shot. But unfortunately, I think at this point in the game, this is where we really need to look at the pocket of these heroes. Like, how much gold do they have? Particularly, I want to begin on Tidehunter. Like, are we seeing double Ravages coming in from the horizon? And unfortunately, Sam H is dirt poor.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's say if Sam H is a recipe away from Refresher, I'm like, okay, TNC has a shot, right? Like, they are going to double Ravage in these team fights. They are going to be able to extend well into late game. But look at the item he's purchasing. It's just a different tier.
Yeah.
And then we still have not yet solved the issue of the Venge Butterfly. A reason why, you know, even if the Ravage does land on Black, maybe you even can't kill Black. So it's just a lot of stuff that TNC needs to be doing, and I just don't think they have the time or money to do it.
I think they do need to go MKB in some ways on Cuckoo. It's tough because even if she gets the BKB off, like, you're still not going to be able to kill it then, but you have a chance to burst her before she gets BKB at that point.
Right.
And also, worth noting, the double Shivas, it makes sense considering there's a ton of right-click damage, but there's a little bit of value lost there potentially as well.
I mean, the armor is nice.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll have to see how this goes. And Cheese on Venge at this point, Aegis on Lone Druid. Does not get a whole hell of a lot easier.
They are still somewhat tenuous walking up this high ground, though.
Yeah.
I think they want to start things off with a swap on Cuckoo. Oh.
So they are not going to end up chasing any further for that one. And in the meantime, we got Ice 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 down in this bottom lane, pushing it out.
Yep. So generally for these slow sieges like this, it's very good for OD because OD could build in by just randomly hitting heroes. Unfortunately, he's been using his kind of Blink Hurricane Pike combo not on heroes, on the bear. So
Oh, you know what though? That's part of what this is about, I think, with the Octarine Core.
he gets swapped in.
A lot of damage coming in. Can they save him in time, Tim? No! They don't end up getting it. Rior is going to drop. OD ends up getting the Astral for himself for the moment, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to live to his
blinks
good
away.
blink out. That was really close.
Had to use BKB, and now Raven, the Ravage is going to come out, but without the hammer on the backline here, Raxus have already gone down. Jabs does not care. He goes straight on the Tidehunter. Tidehunter's gone. The range Raxus, the only Rax surviving. XY recovers the gem. He's going to pay for it with his life, I think. Glimmer Cape, not going to be enough to actually save him. And I mean, the base still stands. Double gem now hits the deck. Is Ice Ice going to get baited by it?
Maybe. Throwing out those chakrams now. But yeah, it's a hold, sort of, kind of, maybe. It's not a great hold. We can't really lie.
Yeah.
But they didn't end up losing everything there. And they didn't really lose the team fight terribly either. They hold on to at least part of their base at this point.
Yep. And, you know, we've been, or at least I've been focusing a lot of this cast on Venge and how important it is to kind of kill him from the get-go because of the aura, because of the threat of the swap. But now all of a sudden, look at Jabs.
Yeah.
Like, he is actually dealing the majority of the damage. And even in human form, he's sitting at casual 2,700 HP, a ton of armor, more than 20 once he's next to his team. And he's hitting hard and fast. So he's yet another threat that you also have to contend with.
And this is really where you see the the
Dagon's
ideas of the draft coming out. Like, it's so hard to kill off these heroes. They're going to be able to siege. We kind of knew from the get-go that with this lineup, TNC were going to be on a bit of a timer, and they were able to hold very admirably and pull the game back into contention. But with like a 30,000 net worth lead at this stage in the game, it just feels like a pipe dream trying to come away with a win here, unless everything happens perfectly yet again.
Well, Cuckoo's got himself a Hex soon.
Okay.
Or he's building towards it. He's definitely trying to save for buyback because his buyback timer is coming back relatively soon. I mean, how big is Hex in a game like this? I mean, there's Glimmer Cape that could save an ally from Hex. There's Avenge, I guess, could defensively swap whoever that gets Hex. Although I don't think Black will want to do that.
It's pretty good if they can find somebody out, and like particularly
like Ice, I guess he's alone a lot of times.
And building up in too. That's another part of it.
Right.
I wouldn't mind seeing, because of that, like a Lotus Orb pick up soon.
But then who do you drop? Like, what item do you drop?
I guess probably. Oh, well, it would have to be for somebody else, not for Ice. They need the supports to pick up the Lotus Orbs probably. So
No. I'm saying Cuckoo. Like, what items does he drop to make room for his Hex?
Oh, Treads, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like,
that's probably the best bet, I think.
Yeah.
And he has the mobility with like the Blink and Hurricane Pike at least. That probably has to be the option though.
All right, we got Dagon 5 on Ice. Who's also, that's his 7th slot item. All right, he dropped Bloodstone for Dagon. Okay, interesting.
All right. That is rather interesting. Did he sell it as well?
No, he just put it on the courier.
Okay. You got a backpack for that, man. Oh, wait. Can you hold Bloodstone in your backpack? That might be one of those. I don't remember that interaction, so I'm going to stop talking now about it.
I mean, I'm a support player. I'm never rich enough to backpack a Bloodstone.
I've never had a Bloodstone.
To backpack, yeah. So.
Oh, it's a sad life, definitely. But Faceless now looking to start sieging this tower. They've got the creep wave. Ice on the other side of the map, but with bots level 2, he can be there in an instant.
The problem is, let's say if... Oh, what's happening?
He tried to go for a Hurricane. Yeah, didn't get it.
Let's say if Cuckoo wants his Hex right now, he can't get it. Like, the courier is... It has to be micro so tenuously past the Radiant squad to get to that secret shop.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And the Blink, Hex, Hurricane Pike combo is great, but like you said, needs to have it. Couldn't buy it before because he wanted to save for buyback, and now he's outside away from the secret shop. And pings are coming for Roche. It is going to be back up really shortly, so this is going to be a slight reprieve for TNC.
I guess Tims could always relocate the OD to buy the item. That seems
oh my god,
a little crazy if you ask me. Yeah, the Radiant has left the enemy tutorial. Looks like Dire wants to smoke and catch him by surprise here.
But imagine it's fairly well telegraphed. The lanes are sort of pushed. Looks like top will push a little bit. Dire scan out to see if anybody's staying on the cliff. But yeah, they're making a little trip together to pick up his Hex. A lot of pings. Do Radiant have a scan as well?
He drops the Blink for it.
They have them. Okay.
So this is the point I made earlier. Blink, at the end of the day, is an item that doesn't give you any stats.
Yeah.
I mean, positioning is always a key part of Dota, but...
I guess the attack speed from Treads is quite good as well.
I don't know. I kind of agree with you by dropping Treads. I think the Blink's actually quite vital.
Maybe he does it before the fighter, like for the high ground hold or something.
Like the whole Blink Hurricane Pike stuff has been actually like super effective so far.
All right.
This is game 1, guys.
I know. What the hell? This game is awesome. This is the thing, too, that I've been loving about these qualifiers. Southeast Asia has been so close over and over and over and over again. And in the playoffs, we're seeing the same thing. Game 2 of the last series, a little bit of an aberration from that, but there's just a lot of great Dota being played in Southeast Asia right now, and warms my little heart.
Oh, mid lane. You want to swap him?
Swap in. There's the Static Storm as well. Cuckoo, what you gonna do?
Relocate.
All right, they got the relocate out. And gonna be fine for the moment.
He pops the BKB. It's 5 seconds. He has to actually disengage right now. That BKB is gonna be over. Cuckoo isolated.
Oh, Sam H. Ravage catches, but the Chaotic Offering as well gonna be able to catch onto 3. Is it enough though? There's only Fatal Bonds on 2 and Cuckoo's gone. He has buyback. Does he use it here?
Maybe not right now, but he used it. He had to use it when. Oh, okay, maybe use it now here. Venge pops a cheese. He's gonna be fine. Buyback from OD has been used. Where's the end of the fight here? Look at Jabs. He's just constantly throwing out them little axes.
They don't have the answer. Raven is going to get ran down by the Golem as well, and Cuckoo gets hit by the Scott. He's slowed up as well. They're on top of one. They're going to bring down two. Triple kill for Jabs. And now it is time to move up for high ground.
You know what the problem is in that last fight? It's because he had treads instead of the blink. He can't self-astro the blink away.
Yeah.
So he was stuck under the astro. He did not make the item swap before that. And well, I don't know about holding it anymore. I think Faceless might have broke TNC's back.
They did an amazing job throughout this game. Oh, the swap away, but Jab still does fall, and he got his BKB off. So this team fight already shaping up to not be great for Faceless.
Oh, buyback though.
They're on top of him, the Astral, to be able to dodge away from the stun coming out, doing a good bit of damage to Ice 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 as well.
Okay,
Somehow,
Jabs is in the base right now. He's doing so much damage. That's a dieback onto Raven. Astro's going to protect him, but he's going to end up right on top of a couple of heroes. He drops the hammer. Damage is there, but it's not going to be enough defensive relocate. Will it be there for Tims? Tims is giving him overcharge. Attack speed and regen. He Astro himself. I think he could blink.
He's going to be out back in the way.
I'm not even sure where he's going to end up.
He ends up in the base there.
But the racks. Who's going to relocate the racks?
I think that they can still come back in maybe and hold for a second. Almost gets black. The Fade Bolt comes through and Rior finds it.
Racks
now maybe
down.
a bit more. Ice, Ice, Ice. They're on top of him. A good bit of damage. The Hex finds the kill. So they end up holding, but not the base. They don't lose the game outright. And they do have the Mjolnir there as we end up seeing another kill over there. Nuts actually goes down as well.
Yep. All right, go down mid. Look at that in on that OD, plus 64. I hope that's enough to carry him. He also has a Venturer on him. Okay, it's gone now.
All right, so it's certainly not perfect, but a big swing back into their favor. Around 7,100 gold swing off the back of that, or 7,900. Oh my God, I can't do math right now. There's Dota being played.
Yeah. I mean, this is where you look at Lone Druid's minus 40-second respawn timer and be like, how is this fair? Because he's back right now. This is after a buyback death, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's alive. So I think the play is you push as hard as you can, and then you make a decision. Either we all in, or you TP the Wisp back to relocate the Drow in.
Right.
Those are your two choices. So let's see how ballsy TNC feel. Do they go all in, or do they back off after this P2? Because I don't think they could hold against Mega Creeps.
I mean, it's so hard because it's Drow that can push waves quickly, but all the other heroes are really limited, and actually a refresher for Cuckoo now.
Oh, Cuckoo needs to BKB.
Yeah, they have the Aghanim Scepter ulti with Disruptor. That was a...
I think he was trying to bait the BKB because they didn't want to really commit the Storm. And yeah, TNC just have to back off.
Oh, they're calling Roche. Okay. They're calling Roche. This is another avenue for them to take this.
I mean, who's even taking
the Aegis? Are they
going to
go in? They can't. All right.
They have no slots. You say Drow pushes out fast. She doesn't have Axe yet.
Well, Mjolnir is still pretty decent, but yeah, you're right. I think that is something that you need to think about investing in at the very least at this point.
The man's trying to finish a 4-staff. It's been trying to finish a 4-staff for the last, like, I don't know how long.
Well, you're certainly going to have creeps coming to you to get killed off and get gold from them, but they're giving a little bit less than they would have liked.
All right.
Now movement in. All right, they scan out Roche. It's going to drop really quickly, but they just started it.
I mean, Tide is a mile away. This is not going to work. But the Radiant's scared. They think the Tide is closer than he actually is.
I mean, the other thing to consider here is that you have Refresher OD, so double Sanity's Eclipse will destroy.
How does he have so much gold?
I don't know. He's crazy. Oh, because of the team fight in the bottom lane.
Right. He just killed everyone.
Yeah.
That helped.
He killed every person in the world.
I mean, if you're Faceless, you just wait, right? You got Mega Creeps.
Yeah, I think so.
Top and bottom's going to pressure in, so there's no rush.
Yeah. It's a good decision, definitely. But can they hold on? TNC, likewise, it almost feels like they have to force this fight. And even without Drow, I think that they're still okay taking this fight because it's so much about the OD just building up those instacks and then going in for the Sanity's Eclipse.
Drow, or OD unfortunately has lost his the big instack. By the way, Drow does have the BOT, so he could join the fight, but She's trying to defend 2 lanes by herself, which is kind of hard.
Oh, they're going in. They spot it out. Are they going to be able to get there in time, though? Jabs, Black as well. They're backing out. They're pulling Mega Creeps over to Roche because they need to help Drow Ranger. Going for it. They swap in Cuckoo. They swap it back out. Rior again with the plays. They're able to keep him alive as well with the defensive relocate. TNC, but the Ravage is not perfect. They have been able to kill off XY. I'm not sure if it's a big enough kill, but they are going to bring back down Ice. And they are holding on for the moment, somehow, some way. And Ice still very low, blinks out. And Roche goes down, Jabs picked it up.
Of course, Drow Ranger wasn't even in that fight. Like, he had just had to defend the base. So that was a 4v5 with a missed Ravage. And it still was okay for TNC. Rior swaps are literally game-saving.
Yeah.
Best bench NA, like.
Well, and
Rior.
then Tim's to follow it too, to relocate Rior out so he didn't die.
Well, they doubled it up.
Yeah.
Oh, he relocated the Rubik out.
He relocated the Rubik out.
Damn, man.
No man left behind. Oh man, that's a Bloodthorn pickup as well though for the Venge. Oh my god. This game.
It's just haymakers after haymakers, like just from these item purchases. Well, we didn't see the double Sanity's Eclipse, and honestly, it wouldn't have been that big, simply because he didn't have that much in, but the threat is always there.
I guess the other thing is the double BKB. Look at Black right now. Oh, they spot him. They see him with the Sentry Ward. They're trying to make it happen, and another swap back in. They're on top of him. Ice shows up.
Miss, 2 misses so far, and now the BKB gets activated. Cuckoo not popping his BKB yet, not refreshing his BKB yet. He refreshes, but the Storm is on top of him. He cannot BKB. Jabs not focusing just yet. Defensive relocate. He's back out, but he now goes right back in. And of course, the Drow Ranger doing a lot of work. You see the Lone Shrews running away barely with any HP. He kills the TIE Hunter on the way back. Rior steals a Magic Missile, and this TIE is a little bit too chaotic for Cuckoo. You know, he gets off the Hex. He looks for the kill, but okay, all the evasion.
They're on top
Rior
of him.
blinks
Fable.
forward, but Jabs on the high ground to the low ground. He is going to get Rior. Is anybody going to get Jabs? They blink up to him.
Oh, the base, though. The base is what's under siege. They need to buy back. Tier 4s are already going down. Jabs, he's out of there, and it looks like it could have been a slightly better fight. Maybe going to be able to find a kill here, but Ice getting very bold. They have the glimpse back. They're not there with them. Cuckoo, X, maybe in some trouble. All right, they take down Ice. The base is still under siege, but they're holding on to the best of their abilities and trying to chase down Jabs. Rior gets the lift back. He is always there, and Jabs, the Savage Roar. He steals Savage Roar. He throws out an E-Blade.
Savage Roar him.
Get him. I mean, he's just going to keep running away.
Yeah, okay, blink, lift, body block coming out, but okay, Savage Roar, they can lift him back. This is the longest chase ever. I don't know if you want to do that. They Savage Roar Rior. Rior now running to the right side, taking so much damage. Tree's not helping him.
They got him.
The hammer drops. Look at Cuckoo's in. That Talon is going to be helping out plus 32 right now. Jabs popping the BKB. Cuckoo needs to self Astro right now. He cannot take this fight. Astro yourself.
Yeah, he's glimpsed it back in, and I think that is going to be the OD
BKB.
brought down
He pops
now.
the BKB, now goes on Jabs. Okay, the Ghost Scepter's going off. What is happening in this fight? BKB's over. Now he needs to man fight Jabs. Savage Roar again. The cooldown, that spells OP. He could Astro, but he's taking so much damage.
Yeah, he's going back in. Oh, wait, Io's here as well. They're going to relocate him away, but Jabs, he's controlled. He's killed. They got him. Cuckoo did it. He actually freaking did it.
He buys back.
All right, they're there. The base, though, again, they need to keep these heroes here. Drow Ranger hasn't left in forever. Somehow, Cuckoo has been able to lifesteal his way through this fight. Octarine Core certainly being value now, and they're holding him in place. They glimpse. They're trying to get out. Ravage is back off cooldown. They could go in for this one. Tim's trying to save his buddy. He's still regenning through it.
Saving Private Cuckoo, get it the hell out of here. Okay, he's also, by the way, the slowest moving ever OD because he doesn't have boots. Oh
I can't believe that he actually lived through all of that. I thought for sure when Jabs was on him, it was going to end up working.
They have Hex available. They're going to find Ice. Ice is going to get foreshadowed by OD.
He has 64 stolen int again, and his refresher is off cooldown.
But you don't have any buildings in your base.
All right. There's nothing left.
I don't know what's going on in this game. This is...
Drow Ranger is playing PvE right now, and it's a very casual game for Raven. Just hang out in base, hit some creeps.
He's gone for the Mask of Madness. I think you just go Axe at this point, right?
It's a tough call.
No
I would
slots.
imagine.
Where are the slots?
Yeah. All right. Let's take stock of where we're at. It's still a 30,000 net worth lead. E-blades are everywhere. We've got anything else that's really soon to come up. I mean, I don't know if OD can really build into anything else at this point. Like, this is not a hero that buys Rapier. He's got 7,000, almost 8,000 gold, but what do you even get? Moonshard, does he have that yet?
No, not yet. Moonshard would sound decent.
Yeah.
So I probably get that. And then that's it, right?
Faceless have got to just be thinking to themselves, what else do we need to do in this game to win?
Oh, that's a very dangerous mentality to have. I think that's a very defeatist attitude.
Yeah,
Faceless is like, we're going to win this game, no prob.
Okay, all right.
Little thorn at the side named Cuckoo, but we got him.
It has
We're
been.
looking for a swap again. Black.
Yeah. This is how it all started
He's
before.
waiting for his team to come by.
And last time, of course, they were caught up.
Oh, bad location swap. Cuckoo?
On top of him. Okay, they
BKB
got the
X
BKB off.
is
Black,
missing.
this is not where you want to be. And, well, maybe now they're able to kill him off. They take down Black,
still in
but he
there.
is still caught. Can they keep
Double
him
storm.
alive? Double static storm down. He does certainly have buyback. Now trying to run away.
Oh, he buys back right now. I'm not sure exactly where he's TPing to. And Raven as well on the right side, taking a lot of trouble. And XXY is going to be going down. Ravage on the backside. They find Jabs. Look at the arrows going in Jabs, but he forced them up to the high ground. Tim's going to be going down. Mr. OD, where are you? He joins the fight. Astro, his teammates. And are those BKB golems? What's going on in this game?
They have BKB golems. That actually is a huge problem now. Level 25s, it is the answer that they needed. And granted, that does also mean that right now you don't have golems to push the base yet. But from every point here on out, Faceless's fight is going to become even stronger.
I mean, Drow Ranger could deal with BKB golems pretty nicely.
Everybody has 25 except for Io. Io might actually get 25 in this game.
Feels bad. I think he takes a minus 50 respawn time, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Actually, let's actually look at some of the 25s, right? Because we rarely get a situation like this.
Forced Thunderstrike hits, Insteel, cooldown reduction for Rubik. That's great. Yeah, and that's about the long and the short of it. Agility and 20% cooldown for Tidehunter as well.
You know, for the Rubik one, is CDR that important? I'm thinking, I've never really seen the plus 400 telekinesis land distance.
It's pretty nifty.
It's like a mini hook, right? That you could target.
Well, but the only problem is that you still have to get within range to get the initial lift. But yeah,
I mean, you got
it
Blink
does
Force
push.
Aether, right? Like you got range.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I mean, I trust Rior. If he wants to go CDR,
I mean, it helps for because he's going to be stealing a lot of fight abilities in these fights as well.
sure.
But yeah, I don't know. It's nuts. And it also is all of his items. That's the other big thing. Like, so Blink Force, Ghost Scepter even. Ghost Scepter is great.
Actually, that, you sold me on that one.
All right.
All right. 25 marksmanship, agility, cool.
Neither team wants to go anywhere. We're 67 minutes into this game, and buyback status, perhaps the most important thing to keep an eye in mind as well. Nobody on the Dire has it, except for Tidehunter. So I should, put my foot in my mouth there.
I mean, if he doesn't have Ravage, I'm not sure how important his buyback is. But
True enough.
It's really the OD and the Drow Ranger's buyback.
Yeah, and they had to use them in that last fight. So, very tough one. BKB's down to 5 seconds.
Are we going to be in the same spot again? Black's looking for a swap.
He's in the area, certainly. But this time they're a little bit better prepared to save him, as they do have the tether around. And, well, do they have the double refresher of the Disruptor ulti? They don't yet.
Oh, God. This is so scary.
I know.
All right. Roche is up relatively soon. I'm not even sure who even has room for Aegis's. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a very awkward position. Like, you probably... I wouldn't even mind keeping the cheese on the IO. I feel like that's a really value put if you can get it there.
I mean, sure, if they hit the Aegis.
Right, that's the thing.
Black,
is that, like, right
they
now.
hex him up. Black is in a lot of trouble. They drop the one storm on top. He's taking a ton of damage. Defensive relocate. He's out. The magic missile will follow. Force tap defensively. He pops the BKB. That's a 5-second one. It's over right about now. Rior being chased out, but here comes Raven.
Yeah, they're on top of him, and they actually are going to be able to get the lift. They're going to put Ice 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 down the ground. Tim's already away. Cuckoo not really hitting any of these heroes as of yet, but Ice 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 taking a ton of damage from Raven. They drop that Chaotic Offering as well as the Savage Roar. There's 2 heroes caught up right now, and Insanity the clips down. They're out of mana. Possibly Cuckoo on top of him again. The Ravage comes out, connects onto 3. I think they might have been able to do it. There's no buyback on the lone druid, but Cuckoo is gone. That's 2 minutes with none of him and Black away on nothing. They need to find this kill so desperately. He's on nothing.
Anchor! Get him!
Oh, no. He's just going to end up dying. But Drow is still left alive. And Io, he ends up falling as well.
Oh my God, it's Drow against the world now. I don't think Raven could do it.
They have buyback on Rubik and the Tidehunter. It's really hard. It's so hard to take this fight right now.
You know, as soon as XY refreshed for the second static storm, but he got hit by the hammer and lost all of his mana, I was like, oh my god, they have a shot. But then the buyback from Ice 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 just zapped. That Dagon 5 choice against the OD was so critical here. Ice 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 gets lifted back in here. Is he really in trouble? He pops the BKB. The swap back out. Now Drow Ranger's on the low ground. Raven, there's so many creeps on him. They're right-clicking the Bloodthorn. It's doing so much work. Raven's down. Raven does not have buyback. Black's also dead though. Rior has to defend.
He has the Ags ulti from the Timbersaw, so he was able to kill him off with the Chakram.
Black buys back.
All right, they're going for the throne. Yeah. I think that they might have done it. Faceless, after a hard-fought game, 70 seconds in, are finally going to be able to make it happen. They have a glyph, but GG gets called.
Oh my god.
Oh. What a game. Game number 1.
You know my biggest worry for TNC is that game 2, are they going to be dispirited after a game like this? Or do you think they're going to be more pumped? They're like, we almost won that. We had them on the ropes.
Yeah, that's tough. I think that if Faceless lost, they probably lose game 1 no matter what. Because they felt, I'm sure, like they had it in the bag the entire time.
Yeah.
But TNC were sort of coming back over a long period of time. So in that way, maybe it's like, yeah, we almost won that game, but we really didn't have any business. I mean, it was probably close throughout, but like you look at this net worth lead that they were able to maintain, 30,000 net worth. Well, since like the last 20 minutes, they've almost been 20,000 or more net worth behind, and they were able to fight it out. Cuckoo played like a god that game.
I mean, everyone played really well.
Yeah, Rior as well,
yeah.
All of them. And we didn't get level 25 IO. No Arcana, no level 25.
Maybe in 2047. IO could hit 25.
Any final thoughts on this game? We've said a lot about it. I'm sure the panel has a lot to say.
We need a break, dude.
All right.
We need a break.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for tuning in for this broadcast. It was a hell of a game. Faceless versus TNC, game number 1. We'll be back in a little bit with game number 2, the Southeast Asian qualifiers. The scene itself alive and well with performance some great Dota. We'll be back in a bit.